Commissioners Brown, Fuller, Harris,
Here.
Herr,
Here.
Madrano, Vice Chair Little,
Here.
Chairman Mercy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Do we have someone to lead us in our invocation this morning? No. Okay. Well, you know, we've had a couple of tragedies in the nation the last few weeks, sadly. So let's take a moment of silence and. Oh, is that? Oh, okay. In lieu of invocation, we've had some tragedies in our nation the past few weeks, and let's take a moment to reflect in our own way. Okay, thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Little, would you like to lead us? Sure.
Place your hand over your heart, please. Repeat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Consent calendar. We just have approval of the minutes. Is there any objection to approving the minutes as presented? Hearing none, minutes are deemed approved. Commission, staff presentations, updates, and reports. First up, we have the LA County Sheriff's Department.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see everybody live and in action again. My name is Deputy Lawrence Green. I am your Community Relations Deputy for Lancaster Sheriff's Station. My primary responsibilities are to interact with the community in a positive manner, non-emergent manner as well, and provide any feedback that we may have or that the community may have. Today we'll be presenting our April crime stats. We always go 2 months back to get you the most accurate stats as possible. So I will be presenting April stats for the Crime Commission report. So for the month of April, all of our information is dished out through via social media and Facebook. We also have Zoom meetings and workshops on a regular basis and quarterly town hall meetings. We will start with our burglary stats for the month of April. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I have a, sorry, let's see here. Oh, awesome. Okay, excellent. Burglaries. We'll start with our total burglaries for the month of April. We're at 59. We're up slightly from March, which was at 53. 28 residential. 22 was in March. 31 commercial. We're holding steady at 31 for the month of April. Our robberies. Robberies will be totaling 31. We are up from 24, and that was in March. Armed will be 18. Strong arm will be 13. Our community engagement for the month of April, we found out there's a local wild horse rescue. So for those of you that have livestock that you cannot manage anymore, the wild horse rescue is over off of 60th and I, just south of I, and she can take pretty much any livestock, but she mainly focuses on horses. She rehabilitates them and gives them to a good home. So it was awesome engagement with that nonprofit organization. We also we have been reading across America, so they have Read Across America. We've been hitting the local elementary schools and actually reading to all the kids, providing them a new insight on law enforcement. So that's what you see on the right-hand side, which Deputy Dennison was reading to the kids. Any questions regarding the Crime Commission report for April before we move on? All right, we'll move on to the comp stats. Awesome. All right, we have our comp stats for the city of Lancaster, April 2022. Homicides have dropped over a period of a year. We for the month of April, we were good. We had none. Rape slightly up. Now, when we mention the word rape, it's not a serial rapist going around. It is usually someone that's associated with someone else or knows the person. So it is slightly up. It could be domestic related, just so you have a better, clear understanding. Our robberies are up, averaging 23, give or take, for the month of April. Aggravated assaults are down, which is great. We are averaging 76. Domestic violence-related aggravated assaults over a period of a year. For the month of April, we are holding steady. We're averaging 10, slightly up. Burglaries have gone up, as we said before, averaging 52. Larceny thefts have gone way up, averaging 105. This is expected as it heats up. Grand theft vehicles have gone down, thankfully. Usually they're up during this time. We have been hitting it hard, so grand theft vehicle has gone down a lot, averaging 93. Arsons have gone down as well, thank God. Wind picks up, so we've been finding out a lot of it's accidental for houses, brush fires, things of that nature. And then these are your hot spots for the month of April. Hot spots being saturated areas of high crime. It could be petty larceny. It could be burglary, robbery, anything of that nature. Obviously, they're going to be hold steady inside of business districts. Okay, so that's where all of the money is. So that's where the snatch and grabs happen. That's where, the burglaries and robberies occur.
Are you aware of any that have changed over the last few months, like new hotspots popped up or other areas that have gone
Yeah,
down?
so what will happen is on like the business districts off of the boulevard, we will saturate that area and we will hit it hard, and then the hotspot will shift. It usually shifts between Valley Central Way back over to Lancaster Boulevard, then from Lancaster Boulevard down to 10th and K. So it will rotate. So within the city. Obviously, we're short-staffed, personnel short, so we can't saturate all three areas at once. So we'll try to hit it, get them, find out if it's a crew, if it's someone that's organized. We'll hit that whole crew. They'll go to jail. It'll go quiet for a little while, and then it'll start over again.
Well, and with a lot of those tend to be property crimes. Those are ones that the district attorney has reduced prosecution on? Has that made it?
But it doesn't stop us from
type?
making the arrest. We'll still
Yeah.
make the arrest. They'll still go to jail, but how much time they do depends on the DA. Absolutely.
What is the common denominator for those three areas?
Common denominator is access to goods, access to it depends on the business. So what we have is called like business for breakfast, where I will go out and I will talk to the business owners to teach them how to be proactive in protecting their business. If you leave it open for a red flag and you allow easy access to their business, this is where the common denominator comes into play. I have 4 businesses lined up back to back to back with easy access. The bad guy sees it, he gains access, and then they don't adjust to the crime. So instead of fixing your cameras, which the first time they broke in, you don't have the funds or you don't have the means to, whatever it is, whatever the situation is, then they tend to get broken in several times over the course of a month. So now, easy access, we know that this owner is not going to do anything about it, so it's up to me and my team to go out there and teach the owner and do whatever we can to help the owner out in getting his or her facility secured properly to make it as difficult as possible and make that person move on to the next easy target.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Catalytic converter issues, is it included in your reports?
I'm sorry, one more time, Commissioner.
Catalytic converter?
Yes, the
issues,
catalytic
Is it included in your report?
The catalytic converter is not competent in this report because it's ongoing as we speak. Actually, we're having an upcoming event for the catalytic converter, etch and catch event, which will be on the 11th, I believe Saturday. There are 2 going on. There's one in Palmdale and one in Lancaster. So if you look at our Facebook page, you will see the actual details of the event. And we would love for you guys to participate come on out and bring your vehicles. How they're going to etch it and what they're going to do specifically, I will not be able to discuss here, but it will be a way of identifying your vehicle associated with your catalytic converter. They're taking as many cars as possible up until about 1:30. So I will be sending out I sent out a nixle. I don't know if you got the nixle, but the nixle went out as far as that catalytic converter event that is scheduled for this upcoming Saturday. It is a huge event. I'm hoping that it will provide a huge impact on reducing the amount of catalytic converter thefts that have been going on in the area.
Is it the next month, maybe you'll be able to include in numbers your report?
Yes, that's why we go 2 months back, because I want to give you accurate numbers. Once we're finished with the event, then on the next report, I'll have some numbers for you to see, what the difference is and if it made an actual impact.
Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions as far as the Comp City stats? No? Okay, we'll move on to our LEAPS report. Our LEAPS is a system where a airplane is manned by an actual human being. It flies over the city, and it acts as our aero unit, because aero is pretty far away and the response times take a little bit longer. So the city has provided us with this feature, which is amazing. It actually allows us to track actual people on foot, vehicles. The camera is so clear that we can actually get license plate numbers as well. So it reduces, how do I explain this? So we don't have to go into pursuit if we have eyes in the sky. So it reduces the amount of car crashes, traffic collisions. When we go into pursuit, we can just wait for this person to park, and we can then follow up and set up a containment. This is a lot safer than us going into pursuits. We try to reduce the amount of pursuits as possible to avoid injury to both parties. The LEAPS is a blessing in disguise. So today what I'll be going over is the stats for LEAPS that helped us lead to arrests and things of that nature. Bear with me here and we'll get it up on the screen. LEAPS, as far as the operator for the camera system, there is a physical person inside of the station that mans the camera as well. So you have a pilot in the air, and then you have a person manning the camera on the ground. This person is hired temporarily, so we only have a few hours that we use them for on certain days of the week, and it's random on what days they're used, but we try to have that thing manned as much as possible because it helps out tremendously. Normally what I would be doing is reading word for word, but it takes too long, and it's very extensive. So what I'll be doing is I'm going over the key points of what LEAPS has been doing for the month of April. Nothing? Not working?
Deputy,
Oh.
Deputy Green, can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely, go for it.
Weren't we updating, or were they updating camera system software last time I can remember having, and that's what they were looking on doing?
Yes, they were in the process of upgrading the camera, but the problem was funding.
Funding?
And we wanted to find out if it was possible to get the funding, because the camera is like 7 figures. So it's super expensive. The question is, can we get the funding to get the camera upgraded?
And also, too, they were talking about a response time, how quick a response time was when a call came in.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the response times are phenomenal when the airplane is over, because we now, if we have a car that just got stolen, we now have an accurate cross street that we can see right overhead and where the car is currently traveling. Whereas if we get a call from a stolen vehicle, it occurred 15 minutes ago, and now we have no idea where the car is at. So if we have an active theft, we can, the airplane's already over. All we got to do is put in a cross street and zoom in, and we can see where that person is on foot or if they're in a car. So-
If I remember right, it was about getting and looking into how quick a response time could be if the plane's not in the air.
Oh, yes, and that was 1 hour, I believe.
1 hour?
That, yeah, I think Bob said 1 hour, because they have to notify the person how far are they from Fox Airfield, and then, how quick can they get dressed and get over there.
Yeah.
So that was about a 1 hour emergent, all chaos is happening that they have as far as getting the plane up in the air. Alrighty. So, LEAP's progress report. On the right-hand side, you're going to see green squares. Green squares represent individual categories of what LEAPS has done to help us out on our calls for service. So we used LEAPS, and that led to about 28 arrests, as you can see on the top. Traffic stops were 39. They assisted in 39 traffic stops. 8 burglaries and robberies. 46 fights and assaults. 14 persons with the guns, and 47 other offenses. You can see the pictures, and as far as, let me go back for a second. You can see the pictures, they're pretty clear. You can see smoke, you can see the numbers on top of our radio cars. You can only imagine when we have an upgraded camera system what else we're going to see, because that in itself is already pretty accurate. All right. So 43% of the calls for service with LEAPS involved people, 14% involved arrests and detentions, 4% involved property, 20% involved vehicles, and 19% involved observations. So this will be the LEAPS report for April. You have to remember this is 2 months old, so when we come out with our next presentation, you're going to see the numbers change. But like I said before, I am very appreciative of LEAPS, and I hope to continue having it for our station.
Has LEAPS been used in the recent marijuana issues?
I believe so, Cap, right? Yeah, they have. Yeah, absolutely. We use them because, like I said, Arrow's not always up all the time. So when Arrow's not up, even when Arrow's up, we can use both at the same time. Absolutely. Any questions on LEAPS? No?
When you said that upgrading camera and you're waiting for the funding, you mentioned that it's very expensive. You got an idea, and
Yeah, budgets. We'll put it this way: if you look at Fox 11's camera, that's like a $7 million camera.
Holy.
So you can give
that's
you
a
an
lot.
give you an
I didn't
idea.
expect that. The reason I asked
Yeah.
is, we all sit in the sheriff boosters, and there's something we can help you out with that, but not $7 million.
No, I understand. I'm just giving you an idea. Yeah.
Captain,
The issue of funding and upgrading the cameras is being handled by the city manager's office.
oh, okay.
That writer?
It's not $7 million.
So we're working on it. But yeah, I'm hoping to see it soon. Any questions on LEAPS? No? Okay, that'll be the end of my presentation for Lancaster Station. Thank you
Okay,
for your time.
Dude, just more general, is there anything that you could say yet on the recent cannabis enforcement operations, and particularly, as compares to last year, or?
Briefly, the seized amount of cannabis far outweighed the last year's
Really?
enforcement activity. The department appreciates the city's contribution. Both cities, Lancaster and Palmdale, contributed significantly to that enforcement effort.
Mhm.
I believe their estimate in the street value of the product that was seized or destroyed was over $2 billion worth. And we still have some significant follow-up investigations and enforcement that are being conducted. And we are still doing enforcement out in the area on a lower scale. We're trying to keep folks from moving in and repopulating the areas that were already interdicted. So we're doing enforcement, plus we're also doing abatement activities on all of those properties. The property owners are being contacted, educate on their responsibilities of the property, and the folks that already knew that things were going on, they're having enforcement on the properties. It was a significant operation. The department came through with hopefully the impact upon the illegal marijuana grows out in the unincorporated area will significantly, and it'll be realized, we'll be able to see realization in that when the product is being sold in the illegal and legal dispensaries. We'll be able to see in the pricing of street level marijuana that they're going back to getting their source of marijuana from legal cannabis. Plus, we'll be seeing hopefully we'll be seeing a reduction in the loss of water, which is actually the significant
Yeah.
portion, the immediate significant portion of the community.
Great. Well, thank you both very much.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, let's see, we have probation.
Good morning. It's good to be back. How's everyone?
Well, good to see you in person.
Yeah, exactly, right? Hopefully we won't have to go through that again. I brought some flyers, as I'll explain, so I'll pass them out to you and you can view it. We began using our installation of the resource mobile unit. We discussed it in our Zoom meetings about we were going to bring it into the community, and we give a flyer to anyone that lives in the outlying areas or someone who's transient. Outlying areas being Lake LA, Little Rock, even East Palmdale. You can imagine that a person that lives in Lake LA, to get on a bus, it's an hour and 45 minutes to get from Lake LA to the Lancaster office to report into a probation officer, just because of the schedule and things of that nature. So the department, the Bureau, decided to think ahead. So what we're doing is we're going out, like today we're out on 87th East and T in the Little Rock area. We'll have people that can actually report into the van, fully with Wi-Fi, security cameras. We have our armed deputies out there. We have an affiliation with us, a community-based organization that offers them housing, medical, job opportunities. All the information is there. So they team up with us when we do that. So we're currently doing that today. We usually go out from 8:30 in the morning during the hot months to about 1 p.m. So they have about a 4-hour window for the PO. So we usually have 3 deputies on site. And it seems to be working. As of this time, for the first 2 months, we've had like 32 people report. And that's just the infancy of the program. And we hope to continue. We're scheduled out till August, September of this year. I was speaking to, I was in Sacramento last month, and I was speaking to the chief of Placerville Probation. They too have a mobile resource van, a little bit more advanced. They actually can hold court via Zoom. So if someone that's transient, homeless, and has a court date, and obviously they're not going to have the ability to attend, and they're going to end up on bench warrant if they fail to appear, they can actually go to this van, sit there, have a Zoom meeting. So hopefully the LA County will advance to that in the near future, or at least the future. But that's the process. So it's not to detain or arrest anyone. It's just to give them a resource that they don't have to travel as much. If we feel and we believe that if we can interact with them more, that we're also going to be able to hopefully help change their life for the better, which makes a win for everybody, including the community. So that's where we're at now. Our other location is near the fairgrounds. That'll be next Wednesday. It's every other Wednesday. We're in Little Rock, Lake LA area. Every other Wednesday, obviously, we're going to be near the fairgrounds. We're still looking for a better Lancaster location. It doesn't seem to be working as well. We were hoping that with the transients and the homeless people that are having encampments out in the Avenue G area, that they would come. And then there's some other scattered areas out there. So we're still trying to fine-tuning the Lancaster area, so any suggestions would help. And right now it's limited to only the AB 109 clients. At this time, there's about 600 of them in the Antelope Valley. So we're trying our best to find that pocket where we're going to be as resourceful as possible, and that's where we're at. If you have any questions on that, I can take them now. We can take them at the end as you think about them, if you have any. The last month, we've had, our statistics are showing 19 violations out of those 600 probationers. 2 went to bench warrant. We had 15 warrants recalled, which people either reported to court or were picked up. And keep in mind that when we're having a warrant, in the past, pre-pandemic, we would just pick them up, they go into custody. Now they're being cited and released depending on the charges. No fault of any law enforcement, just the way the rules have changed over the last couple of years, and it's unfortunate. We're still doing our field visits. We're still doing our door knocks. We have actively our special enforcement officers are being more active out here. We try our best to communicate with the sheriffs and highway patrol and other law enforcement agencies to let them know we are out and about. It's a team of anywhere from 5 to 8 armed deputies that go out to our more serious offenders, people that are long-term warrants that haven't reported or done anything, people that have history, maybe domestic violence history where they're trying to, there's suspicion of residing with the victim, kind of trying to stay under the radar. We're going to go knock on those doors that are more severe. And they're doing full-blown compliance checks, going through the house, interviewing everybody that lives there and things of that nature. So they're being more active in our community as well to assist us. On a positive note, we're having another resource fair at the juvenile office come July. I'll have an accurate date. It's still in the planning stages. It'll be open to the community. It's juvenile. It's over on Division and K, just on the north end of K. And we're trying to, once again, do our things to reach out to the community as best as possible and take it and turn a negative into a positive. Again, our average POs average about 30 to 32 cases a month of supervision, which allows them to be a little bit more engaged with each client. So those things are happening. Those are good. Our offices are fully open. We've been open since October 1st to the public. We have more people going on global positioning system on GPS. Beginning of the year, we had 1 person in GPS, working GPS on our contract. Now we have 3 people in my office that are doing all the GPS ankle bracelets and things of that sort, alcohol bracelets within the community. So they're expanding that in the courthouse, it looks like, and offering it to more people. So we're keeping better track of some of the folks, whether they're on probation or not, they're going to come to our office and get suited for and fitted for an ankle bracelet if they have those conditions, things of that nature. Every month we have a little newsletter that produces the positive, and we have success stories. We had over 8 people in our area that got jobs in the last month and are continuing at their work throughout our bureau, which is 5 regions in LA County. We're seeing people getting promoted. They're slowly getting out of that negative lifestyle. And keep in mind that those that are being supervised by 809, they're the most serious offenders. 10 years ago, they were technically on parole. So probation is actually supervising a low end or medium level parolee that was considered a parolee back in 10 years ago before 809 was introduced. We get a lot of flack because, the laws say we can let these people go and stuff like that, but we're doing our best by taking those folks and trying to change. But again, this resource thing is that we're using, the unit, has really been able to allow us to engage in. Again, we're still at the very beginning. We're still fine-tuning, and we hope it's becoming one of those things that we can eliminate folks that are not reporting, that will report now, and they have access to it. That'll minimize our violations, which means that hopefully they'll get off on a positive note and continue to live hopefully a better lifestyle than they have in the past. And that's all I have for you today. Any questions?
On the mobile unit, you started on June 1st?
No, it's active now. This is just the newest flyer that we put out.
Oh, okay. And the response has been good as far as maybe that have not shown up before, or the numbers that have increased now that it's making it easier on them to?
Yes. So what we're doing is that once we identify someone that lives in those areas, say they came in to report into the office, or we went to their and did a door knock on their house, we're going to give them a flyer and say, hey, next month you can report to this on these 2 days in your area, and eliminate coming to the office. So you're still going to see your PO. You're still going to get everything documented. We have everything is computer web. We all have laptops that go out there. So, and all the accessibility that they would get in the office is technically there, including we can do say someone comes in and it was requesting some mental health. We can send the assessment to mental health of LA County. They can process it and give that person an appointment. If it's urgent, they'll do an immediate phone appointment within that day. If we have someone that's homeless that's asking for housing, we can arrange them to get housing in a permanent home out here, and we have several beds. And therefore, we can put them in it within a day. The only thing that it requires is that we can communicate with them. So that person will have to have some type of form of contact, a phone, a relative, someone that's going to get a hold of them. Because if they call you and say, we have a bed for you tonight at 6 o'clock, we need to get a hold of you because after 24 hours, that bed's going to reopen and to give it to somebody else. So we want to have that communication. So, yeah, so I think that, like I said, the resource, we've been doing it for about a month and a half now. It's still, like I said, in the very early stages. That's why we're still trying to find a better location that we can accommodate the people that are on probation. There is a possibility that we'll extend it to maybe juvenile and stuff in the future, but at the moment it's just for the Bureau of AB 109 at the moment. That's where the funding came, and that we actually have 2 in the LA County. So we have one primary up here. We house it here, we keep it here. We do service to East San Fernando Valley also, but it's stationed here. So, and I'm one of the coordinators that's responsible for the program up here. So it seems to be good, and we have a few deputies that are very committed to it, which is even better. It makes it so much more efficient when you have someone that's passionate and committed about doing it, and he keeps it clean and does everything nice and presentable and things of that nature. And hopefully we'll get the Antelope Valley Press or someone to do a little feature on it, so it'll open the eyes of the community, saying we are doing our best to reach out and make it a better place to live as best we can under today's world. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Good, like I said, good to be back. Good to see everybody's good and healthy.
Thank you, you too. Let's see, do we have anyone here from CHP? I don't, oh, we do, yes. Oh.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Officer Monique Michaud. I'm the Public Information Officer for the ABCHP office. Captain Bronier was unable to be here. As many of you know, we have the Summit of the Americas going on, so we have a lot of our command staff down there working on that large event in LA. I do have the May statistics for the CHP, and in comparison, I have last year's May statistics as well, just so you can see the same time frame within a year. The big thing is crashes for us. So last year, May, we had 1,081 crashes. This month of May, we are at 982. So we are down on the number of crashes that we have taken. Of those crashes, 3 were fatalities for the month of May. That is in line with 3 fatalities for 2021. So both May 2022 and 2021 had 3 fatalities. To put that in perspective, it looks like we're on par. However, last year for 2021, from the January 1st through June 8th, we had 27 fatalities that resulted in 31 deaths. This year to date, we are at 16 fatal crashes with 17 deaths. So our fatal picture for the area is down. That is great. We hope that trend continues through the rest of the year. Last year's numbers were way too high. I believe we were the highest in our Southern Division, which encompasses all of the LA County CHP offices. Actually, you know what? I misspoke. Those crashes for May of 2022 was 155. That 982 was our citation count. So tickets that we wrote. So for this month, we're at 982 citations. That's tickets here in the AV area. 30 of those were for over 100 miles per hour. In comparison to last year's, that 1,081 citations, they had 39 of those for over 100 miles per hour. So hopefully the speed is coming down. We're doing more enforcement. We have more people that are back to work on their normal schedules this year than last year. We have our Antelope Valley Traffic Task Force that we're working with the Lancaster and Palmdale sheriffs. That encompasses a lot of our motors where they go out and saturate an area, and we move around through the Palmdale area, Lancaster area, and unincorporated CHP jurisdictions to write citations and hopefully decrease the fatal picture there. So this month's traffic crashes were 155. So 155 traffic crashes, 3 fatalities. Of those 155 this month, 62 resulted in injuries, and approximately 90 were property damage only crashes. Last year, May, we had 223 crashes, 3 fatalities. Of that 223, 106 resulted in injuries. So that's a significant number where we are having folks that are injured in these crashes. As far as our commercial vehicle crashes, for May of 2022, we've had 7 crashes that involved the commercial vehicles, the semi-trucks, resulting in no injuries and no fatalities. So those are all property damage crash, which is great because we know the damage that a vehicle that size can do. Last year, the commercial vehicle crashes for the month of May was at 16, which resulted in 8 injuries and 1 fatality. So we are doing better on the crash picture for May of 2022. As of right now, we are still short-staffed. We're still putting full deployment out into the field with our officers to affect the area. We will be holding a DUI checkpoint this month. We'll be sending out the press release and that information for the areas, and the location of that is also required to be advertised. So we will have that out. We've actually been invited back into the schools recently. It's been a little bit harder. May was the Bicycle Safety Awareness Month, so we were able to go out to Del Sur Elementary School. They invited us out. We held a bike rodeo, and we're able to have kids grades K through 3 come out and work with our officers, and they had a little course that they got to do. And it's a good tool for the kids to see the officers up close and learn about bike safety, helmets, things like that. Especially with the summer coming up, we know the kids are going to be out playing, so we want to keep them safe. We also have an Explore Post open house for the CHP that we'll be holding this month on June 22nd. We're trying to increase our young people involved, ages 15 to 20, that have an interest in law enforcement. They can come out and ask questions, see what our program is about. Other than that, are there any other questions or anything that I might be able to help with?
How many officers are you down?
Ooh, I believe our office is supposed to have 50 uniformed officers, 5 sergeants, 1 lieutenant, 1 captain. We are going to be getting a new lieutenant, so Captain Bronier will still be our captain. We'll be getting a new lieutenant beginning July 1st, so that's awesome. We've been without one since Lieutenant Rodriguez retired. We should be full staff in our sergeant's office. Unfortunately, our officer count, I believe we are at about 42. We're supposed to have 50 uniformed officers. And we do have a few that are out due to injuries. We recently said goodbye to one of our long-term officers. He retired, and I know we have a few more retirements coming up. So we're hoping that with our academy being back in full swing, we'll be able to get more brand-new officers to the AV area. But unfortunately, statewide, every office is down. So we're all fighting over the same brand-new officers. Anything else?
Well, glad we're having an academy there. I wish our Board of Supervisors would follow suit. Thank you very much. Let's see, District Attorney update.
Good morning. I'm Steve Gunson. I'm the Assistant Head Deputy of the Antelope Valley Courthouse for the District Attorney's Office. The Head Deputy, Robert Sherwood, who you're probably more familiar with, is on vacation, which is a rare moment. This is my first time doing this. I'm not really sure what you guys expect. I wasn't briefed very well, but I did bring some stats for you to look at, and I can answer any questions that you have and maybe give you a couple of highlights. Just who I am, I've been in the office for 17 years. I've been in lots of different assignments, and I've been here in Lancaster for the last year. As you can see, I asked Cedric to put up the stats for the last couple of months. Bob did tell me that you did not have the numbers for March, April, or May. I was not able to get the May numbers yet, but hopefully we can get them next meeting, the May and June numbers. But just looking at the March and April numbers, you can see there's been a decrease in some areas and filings from the DA's office and an increase in others. Just looking at it from a broad overview, I don't see anything terribly significant if you're trying to compare it to the last set of numbers. Kind of business as usual. Of course, there's been very large changes as it relates to a year and a half ago. But as far as the last couple of months or 3 months, there hasn't been very many changes at all. If you have any particular questions about those numbers and the areas that you see, arson, burglary, drug sales, et cetera, you can ask me. I did hear some talk, and I thought you might want to hear about the catalytic converter situation. I understand that my office, and we're not directly involved in this here in Lancaster, is creating a task force to try to address that issue along with law enforcement, and they are kind of doing their own thing. But I imagine once they move along, that'll help to address that situation. From our standpoint, we assigned a special DEA to prosecute those cases within our ranks. And she has jumped on that pretty well and already made a number of filings. I don't have the exact number, but it's probably slightly less than half a dozen. Multi-defendant cases, clearly dealing with an organized crime syndicate, whatever you want to call it, and most likely gang-related. And we'll continue to work on that. As you know, the other special prosecutors we have within Lancaster, we have, although our hardcore gang division was disbanded several months ago, we continue to prosecute gang cases. We have assigned a special prosecutor with lots of experience, a very good DA, to continue prosecuting gang cases, at least locally, even though the special unit was disbanded. And he's doing a good job, and we continue to file a number of gang cases. Obviously, a gang problem still continues in Antelope Valley and in Lancaster. We also have the VIP unit, which handles child abuse and domestic abuse, elder abuse, those types of cases where we have sensitive victims. We have 4 DAs assigned to that. That's nothing new, but we continue to do that as well. The filings, I think, are the same as they have been. However, we've had trouble prosecuting, I think, domestic violence cases because of new policies that will not, our administration will not allow us to do subpoenas or enforce subpoenas on victims who do not want to appear in court. So if a victim decides that they do not want to prosecute a case, we are bound by their decision unless we can prove the case from some other source besides the victim's testimony. So we've been forced to, in many occasions, based on our own policies, to dismiss domestic violence cases because we cannot force the victims under our own policies to get into court with enforcing those subpoenas with body attachments. So normally when a witness doesn't appear, just like jury service, you can be arrested and brought in and forced to take the stand. And in domestic violence cases where the victim oftentimes is reluctant to testify for various reasons, the way to get that case prosecuted and to hold the defendant responsible for the abuse is to use a body attachment to enforce a subpoena to bring the person in. Without that vehicle, we have to announce unable to proceed on a number of cases that maybe would have been prosecuted successfully had we been able to enforce body attachments. So that's
When was that put into place, that new rule?
the day George Gascon was sworn in.
Wow.
And so it's a policy that's not really talked about much in the media. I don't know
Yeah, I
why.
hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, it's not. They talk about all kinds of stuff, but they don't talk about that. But that's given us a lot of issues.
Have any of the other directives that he issued been eased? I mean, that was in the news after the I forget the names, but they issued the assault that happened in Denny's 10 years ago, and the person was an adult now, was put in juvenile, and District Attorney Gascon said he was going to change things to offer more reviews. Have you seen any of those policies that have been either rescinded or eased to give you and your deputy DAs more discretion?
There have been a number of policies that have been rolled back from the day that he was sworn in. I don't. It would probably take a long time to talk about all of them, but that's one of them. After that, the thing that you just spoke about, Chairman, but prior to that, we would not try adults, or excuse me, juveniles in adult court. Now there are very, very limited situations where if we take a case and bring it to the attention of the administration, we can go ahead and file those cases as adults. But I'm not aware of a single one that's occurred yet since then. So it's going to be a very, very rare situation that is heavily controlled by the administration. But that policy was rolled back. It went from never to possibly if you let us know and give us really, really good reason, although I haven't seen it happen yet. Another one is we were not allowed to ask for bail on cases, which resulted in the pretrial release of many defendants, and then a lot of them would pick up additional cases. So that policy was rolled back. Now, if somebody has an open case and and that person gets out and commits a second crime, now we have the option to ask for bail. So, yes, you have seen certain policies rolled back slightly. And, of course, initially we weren't allowed to file strikes, and the court has required us to file strikes in a lawsuit that's pending. So there are a few of those situations.
Well, that'll only affect new cases, though. They can't go and add them on ones that were...
We could.
Or if they're in process, I guess, can they be added?
Strikes can be added after filing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sure the council's already aware, but misdemeanor filings are way, way, way down because of policies. I think we're filing like 60% of the misdemeanors we did under previous administration because there's a list of about 12 misdemeanors that we're not allowed to file anymore. So I know that Palmdale was considering trying to prosecute their own misdemeanors because we weren't filing the ones that they wanted us to file. So that's another area where there's, at least from a year ago, there's been huge changes in the activity of our office. But in the last couple of months, there's nothing really of any significance, in my opinion, as far as the numbers are going. But anyway, I don't know if the council has any additional questions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure.
Appreciate it. City Attorney, we have none. And no Public Safety Directors to State Legislative. See, I see Ms. Bulge from Assemblyman Lackey's office.
Good morning. I have just a couple things that I wanted to make you aware of that the Assemblyman's working on or is concerned about. He has 3 bills, or a total of 5 bills that are moving forward, a couple that have interest to you. AB 2726, the Peace Officer Communications Bill. AB 2150, Real World Cannabis Product Study. And AB 1406, the Taser Placement Bill. All of those are moving forward. We did hear also that the Senate Public Safety said that the taser placement is a candidate for the consent calendar, so that's good news also for that moving forward. Sad news, but good to get it out there. The Assemblyman authored a request for an audit of the Child Abuse Central Index, or CACI, to find out information about this reporting system, which he believed was an issue and now knows for certain it is. Some of the more shocking things that they found were that 300 people were on the index wrongfully. So they should have been released from the index and allowed more privileges, but were still there. There were 48%, or 22,000 reports that were written, sent in, but never listed on the index, which is horrifying if those people that were in the reports were applying for jobs with children, because they wouldn't have been listed on there at all. So this is something that will require legislative action to correct. The Assemblyman will be leading the charge in that, you can be sure. He also wanted you to be aware that the 4 a.m. bar bill is back, SB 930, and the new spin is that this is a COVID relief bill to assist bars and nightclubs to be able to survive post-COVID. That these extra 2 hours, leaving them open until 4 a.m., would be a financial benefit far outweighing any of the personal issues that could occur at that time. The Assemblyman single-handedly, in our opinion, stopped the bill in 2019 with his experience in the CHP and knowing how people respond, pointed out that people are going to be colliding, leaving a bar and going to work, that those people are going to be put in great peril because of this bill. And he's still horrified by this coming back, and again, will be having very compelling testimony on the floor to stop it. So that is our report for today.
Well, my mom always said nothing good happens after 2 a.m., so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items.
This is the time to address the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time limit is announced. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Thank you.
No speaker cards? Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Harris? Commissioner Hurt?
No special comments.
Okay. Vice Chair?
Nothing at this time. Glad to be back. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just add that. Good to see everybody in person, and be safe out there. With having reached the end of the agenda, is there any objection to adjourning? Hearing none, we stand adjourned until July